So when it comes to FC26, we know the very first evolutions are going to be normally pretty decent. We obviously get club membership or at least something for getting the Ultimate Edition. We will end up with hopefully some premium evolutions that will come out in that first week. And normally they start to get the ball rolling. Now, as you can see, we've got a keeper in there. This is going to be the first year that we finally get evolutions for keepers. Now, if you've not followed someone like Ederson, hence why I picked Trafford, he managed 1 in 4. That was it. And I get he maybe didn't have this season of a lifetime, but even in a non-performance based one, keepers are so difficult to get. And if you've got a preferred keeper, if I like personally De Gea in that, if I like to Courtois but say he was benched and no informs or no nothing, then at least I have that potential to upgrade them. So if you are running your own team, if you're running a Sunderland team, a Norwich, a Millwall, if you're going all the way down to Walsall, or even going for someone like Man City, I know they've got Donnarumma, but say you just prefer Trafford for whatever reason, there is a chance that we can get some decent upgrades from them, and hopefully there is a decent amount that does come out, but I can imagine it's going to be a bit of a teething problem as we go through. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. But without James Trafford, let's go into some of the players that I believe are going to be great starting evolutions. They may not go crazy straight off the bat, but they have got a potential to do something about it. Nwaneri is going to be a fantastic one, I believe, from a very low rating. And this might not be the first week, it might be the first month, where we start to see some solid upgrades for them. And obviously, you've got to kind of pick away from some of the big ones. Normally, we start off with at least one that takes us up to like an 84 rated striker if they follow that same sort of pattern. So realistically, we'll be able to get a couple of 80s, maybe an 82, up into them 84s pretty quickly. But it still is the debate that you can go even lower and progress multiple times. Nwaneri is going to be a fantastic one for that. He's got a little bit of pace to start with, and it's a very starter card for him. But if he can get up to the mix, that could be a solid one to go forward. We also then have Minter. Now, I believe we have got no Playstyle Plus kind of completely gone yet. They are just based off what they've got last year, I believe, because we did have the Silver Minter with obviously his Quick Step Plus anyway. But I do think if he does have that pace that considers at that such high end, if we can get something with a little bit more shooting, a little bit more dribbling, he could be fantastic. Now, obviously, there's going to be big requirements for these evolutions, so they won't let you take a Minter all the way up to 84. More than likely, his pace will stop him at some point. But to start with, he could be a fantastic one. Mainoo's an easy one for most people, to be honest. Now, you've always got to kind of balance between who's getting the upgrade and who's going into promos, because naturally Mainoo could be a fantastic one for a promo team, but with how Man U are doing at the moment, is most definitely not getting informs anytime soon. No player of the months. So realistically, he's either based himself off an out of performance based promo, which you can't really guess too much unless you're in the higher zones of like an Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo-esque sort of card. But Mainoo's going to be a great one for that midfield, especially if you are building a past and present Man U team, or at least just a Man U team in general. We have one that was great last year with his lovely silver card, Rico Lewis, now getting himself up to the goal. I think when we look at right backs and left backs, normally you kind of pick one and you kind of take him all the way. Theo Hernandez was a great one from the left back side last year, and Carl Walker's normally a fantastic one this time round. And I don't think Footbin have him in there at the moment, but most definitely Carl Walker will still be a great shout, being in Burnley into the Premier League, so he could potentially still be alongside someone like Rico Lewis, and you might even choose the nostalgic Walker instead of a Lewis upgrade. Garnacho, I think being a lower rated might not be a bad fix for this, to be honest, because he can start to upgrade slowly but surely. I feel like we got such an upgrade from him last year. Well, we got him, I don't know if it's going to show me his FC25 card, but we got him as such a big upgrade from such a little one. I can't even find where the previous cards were nowadays, but Generations? There we go. So we got the 79, obviously, but then we jumped straight to a 90 with obviously the road to the final, like the road to the knockout. So even then, that was great, but we had no playstyle pluses on him, no nothing. So really, we had to upgrade the 92, which unfortunately, like, it's great now, but we got that card at FUT Birthday. It still wasn't enough at that point. So I'm glad that he's kind of come down a little bit more. We might be able to get him into an Evo very soon, because I do think on the ball sort of mechanics, he'll do pretty well. He's not a bad player when it comes to being in the game. The only problem is who do you get in evolutions that might steer you away from him? But still an interesting one to look at. Gittins coming obviously into Chelsea as well. Could be a fantastic option. Very much like Minter. Great pace. Got a bit more dribbling, and we will see the breakdown soon once we get into the game. But the shooting could definitely do with the work. It's just dependent on what are the limitations going to be in terms of the upgrades. Are the requirements going to be massive on that pace so you don't just get crazy paced wingers with great shooting straight off the bat? And a big one that they like to bring out, and it's going to be interesting because Nunez was kind of last year's one who was incredible. We normally get a solid striker one at the very start. I believe we did in FC 24, and we got the same in 25. Is there going to be this chance again? Because if there is, there's definitely a few lower beasts that could do pretty well. Delap being, what, 6'1"? 6'1". We don't know the skill move and weak foot yet, so that could make or break a lot of these cards, but even then, it's still an interesting side to know. We've got a bit of pace, nothing too crazy, shooting's a little bit there, dribbling, physicality. Could he be pushed up into that next level, which I think will be fantastic for him? Left back side of stuff, if you've not used his team of the season before, Hato could be an absolute dream for that cheap beast evolution. It could work out very, very well for him. So I'm really hoping we get an all-round position sort of upgrade. We get a midfielder, we get a fullback, we get a centre-back, and even if it's just a slight upgrade, it could be worth definitely having a look at. And for me personally, Yoro's going to be another one. I think defensively he should be okay. Nothing too crazy, but the pace is where you do need a little bit more of an upgrade from him. A Playstyle Plus wouldn't go amiss, and most definitely he's normally one of them cards that does do pretty well. He was my personal, I don't think it was the blueprint. It was like the Team of the Year Daily Star or something like that. We got him up to like 90-91 with double Playstyle Pluses. And he was decent. It was a solid card. And he finally managed to get himself into that 98 rated at the very end of the game. And he was solid in that position. But you're naturally going to pick only so many centre-backs. I just think he could be in there. If we're going for another big name, especially in the Arsenal side at the moment, Lewis Skelly is absolutely ripping it up at the moment. And I do think as an evolution point of view, left back, English, could have the chance of a centre mid alternative, and he most definitely will prove it very much this year. I think he's going to have a fantastic one going into this. And even last year we saw him win his, where did I find them, Generations? We saw him with obviously his inform to start with, then got into the team of the season honourable, but then we got him into that footies, and he definitely played a solid role in that centre mid. Now the big question is he going to get that alternative into the centre mid? And it could offer so many nice options for Lewis Skelly. We then have one that I've been very, very impressed by. The ability, the comfort, the calm composure on him. João Pedro was a phenomenal one. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. The year before, this 89 João Pedro was brilliant. It was a stunning card. I got him very early on, and finish-wise was impeccable. This year it's been a bit questionable. Obviously he did get himself a footies, which is nice, but naturally he's kind of just been a little bit off it. Whereas going into Chelsea, definitely getting a few goals in to start with. Could he be worth that upgrade to bring him forward? Or does he get a card that really helps him up there? That's going to be the one that's very interesting to see. Moving in, Brendan Johnson, obviously getting the massive goal to get themselves their first trophy. I think the whole performance was a shambles from both teams, but they got it over the line. Absolutely incredible for them. And I do think as a winger goes, little bit more on the shooting compared. Pace is definitely not, it's sub 90, which is okay. In terms of a cheap beast, could we see him getting that 81, 82 upgrade to start with and seeing his career progress forward? And one that most definitely will come in a bit more expensive. Dogu is just is an incredible one that comes in, but last year just did get nothing. So you had to be evolving him consistently. You can't be jumping ships with him. You could get him potentially to that 82. Might take a little bit more to go 83, 84, but there is a chance that you could just get that little bit more shooting and really wrap up this card nicely. We then go up at least another level into Undogi. Now, he will definitely be my personal cheap beast. Him and the likes of Pedro Porro being in that role as a left back, right back for probably a couple of K at most. Last year, he was phenomenal there for a very starter-esque team, especially in the Premier League. Some nice abilities for nation links if you really wanted to. So he is one that I would definitely be looking at to start with. It's just dependent on where do they start that requirement. Is it going to be mid-70s, or do they start it in that 82, and is there better out there to go with? Kudus coming in as well for the right wing. Again, another player with some solid pace, great dribbling on him this time, and the shooting's getting better and better. I do think that he might be kind of flacked either for the pace and dribbling, which stops him on the upgrade to start with, or he gets a little upgrade to start with, and you've kind of just got to keep going forward. We did get an upgrade for this player last year. I think Thuram as a base centre mid is always well worth looking at. Obviously being French, plenty of links around him, which is always fantastic. You've got no real issues there. And the Serie A normally has a very good starter team. They then lack in the middle to top, and then eventually evolutions and promos really catch up, and they tend to have one of the better teams going into the end of the game. So I'm really anticipating that he does pretty well in this. One that I didn't expect, and to be honest, I would have kind of happily had him anywhere. Kolo Muani is another one. Nunez was great with the upgrade. Kolo Muani was great with the upgrade. And then you kind of had a few more that you could pick mainly from your best teams. But in terms of tall strikers, great pace, physicality, a little bit lacking in this one personally, but the shooting ability, you throw an evolution on him, get him to that 84, the pace goes up by 1, shooting gets a free upgrade. The difference in that at the start of the game is massive. You then throw a hunter to max out the pace and shooting. You throw a finisher on him for a bit more agility balance, a little bit more on that shooting. And you've got yourself a very nice mid card from an 81. And to be honest, he's always going to be one that you want to be looking at. And then finally we got Zambo. He was now he's going into a bit of an upgrade now from an 82. Whether he gets it on the very start is going to always be questionable and dependent on where they want to go with this power curve. If it is upgrading cards or if it is not upgrading the higher rated cards, or at least the 82s, 83s from the get-go, then potentially he could be after it. But very much like Thuram, two very good middles that will work very, very well together. And I do think Zambo from his Player of the Month has really kind of turned an eye for me and made it well worth having a look at. Any of you are obviously searching for any more, silvers are always going to be an interesting option to see how much they put on silvers. Do they really embellish upgrading your silvers into golds, or are they going to go for them silver beasts again? I've been hearing murmurs. Now obviously you've got the likes of Konza, you've got Pedro Porro, Mateta, Havertz as the 82, even then coming down, and eventually Van der Ven's going to be well worth looking at. Morgan Rogers, but I don't want to put too much heavy emphasis on 82s, just in case they don't start with them. They could even just start with the 80s and above and just get them to the 82, and naturally you're going to progress if you're spending coins, you're spending money. That will naturally put you ahead of them very early on, but some of them could be a little bit beastly. So let me know who you're looking forward to with the Evo most. I think Rashford would be a cracking one as well, but he's definitely going to be a bit more expensive than a cheap beast. Make sure you like and subscribe on this. Catch you all for that next one. Peace.